InObscuria!
Welcome back, my friends, to the InObscuria podcast, a podcast where we exhume obscure rock and punk and metal, and we put them in one of three categories: the lost, the forgotten, or the should-have-beens. My name this week is Kevin Williams. I believe that guy over there is Robert Harrison.
It's still, yes, this week it's named Robert, yes.
Okay, good. No name change legally yet.
Not yet.
All right, cool. What's going on with you this week, man?
Oh, still unpacking from Nashville.
Yes, we just got back from the Rock and Pod Expo. We actually didn't talk about it at all last episode because it's almost like we recorded it before we went.
Yeah, with all this computer stuff, you never know where we are. Space-time continuum, it's all blurred.
Exactly.
I have no idea where we are. We're recording from our annex studio on the other side of town.
The Kiss Crypt.
Kiss room. Yeah, the Kiss Crypt. Next door to the
real
actual
family crypt.
I don't go over there. That's Kevin's domain. That kind of weirds me out.
Well, you don't like ghosts.
No, I don't like that.
So
we don't have a good history. But yeah, so I haven't even done laundry. I just dumped everything out on the floor.
Well, I saw something you have done, and it was on the interwebs, and it was a picture of a bag that I believe I gave you.
Before you go too far,
I'm punching the button.
This is worthy. Hit the button.
Okay.
Hit the button. Oh, yeah. You overdubbed this, right? Can they hear me talking while you're playing? Oh, yeah. I want to sing along with it, but you've overdubbed it before. Here we go.
Get your grub on with the chef that can give it to your funky style.
Roberts. God needs it. That's right. That's right now. Roberts.
Yeah.
God needs it. Wow!
Because I started something a few episodes ago that I need to pay off. I did some fried shrimp, talked about how all of a sudden I realized you can have all kinds of different breading on the outside of that deep fried shrimp. And so
last time it was goldfish.
Yes, goldfish.
You rolled shrimp and goldfish.
It was very meta.
And then you deep fried it.
And it was delicious. And so then...
So healthy.
You or somebody else suggested Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
No, I had the next one.
Somebody else had the Cheetos, and you suggested...
Takis,
which is like the Mexican Cheeto, but it's fuego, which means fire hot.
It's really hot.
So we went to Nashville, and for those of you that don't know, my friend and partner in this podcast adventure takes very good care of himself, unlike me. He eats very healthily, watch what he eats, very good shape for a man his age, which is younger than me. And so on the way home, we stop at a truck stop, and he comes out with a bag, full size, not a snack bag, full size bag of these Takis Fuegos, which look bright red. They don't look like any natural food that's out there. So I had talked about doing it, and I did it. I paid it off. I took those.
I had an ulterior motive when I bought that bag.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to eat a few of these, and then I'm going to hand them over, and we're going to see what happens when you roll shrimp and refry it in Takis.
And I don't do spicy foods. I even tried a couple of them. I couldn't make it past the first one. They're hot, but for most people that love spicy food, they're not that hot. But for me, it's hot. So you crush them up, you put the shrimp in, flour, egg wash, then Takis, deep fry that. And it's so artificial, it turned the grease red. It makes it like you're deep frying it in blood. So it's kind of freaky, but my verdict is it's tasty. It was kind of weird tasting, but it's like a jalapeno flavored deep fried shrimp is what it comes out to be. So they're bright red, jalapeno flavored fried shrimp.
So my question, it tasted good going down. How did it taste out the other end?
What the hell did you just say?
Thankful. I don't taste it on that side. Thankfully, I don't know what it tastes.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
But I know what you're getting at. It dulls the spice by deep frying it and spreading it out over the entire shrimp. So it wasn't that spicy eating those. It took like 6 of them before you realized what you're eating. So it just tasted like jalapeno a little bit. And then by the 6th one, you felt the heat. And so it wasn't that bad because I kind of overdosed on shrimp anyway. I also cooked 2 other versions, like the traditional version with just cracker crumbs, and I did cornmeal. So yeah, I was feeling good and bad at the same time. You're like, oh my God, that was so good. Oh my God, I ate way too much because it's just me and, Dio.
Well, Well, all I have to say about that is next time you eat Robert's Flamin' Hot Taki Shrimp and your asshole's burning, go listen to Pod of Thunder, Cobras and Fire, Growing Up Rock, Slamfest Podcast, Decibel Geek, A to Z Radio, Metal Up Your Podcast, The Hustle, Disciples of the Watch, Podcast Rock City, Sean Geek and Fast Fret Podcast, State of Amorica, Rock Strikes 10, Potter Than Hell, Podcast The Kiss Room, Ages of Rock, Retrozest Podcast, The Synaptic Empire, and don't forget about Monty's Rockcast. Come visit us at InObscuria.com. Like us, share us, recommend us, leave us a damn review. Visit us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Speaking of Monty.
Yeah, speaking of.
Yeah, I totally stalked. Poor Monty, man.
Poor guy.
Totally stalked him.
So we got to meet him after all these years of saying, don't forget. Well, Kevin saying, don't forget about Monty. We got to meet him in person. And before we got to meet him, Friday night, Kevin had a few beers, and sees him walking. We're up on a balcony. See, oh, look, there goes Monty walking down. We're trying to get a picture of all of us. And Kevin
we're with all the podcasts.
Yeah,
we're Cobras and Fire and Growing Up Rock.
Kristen's there trying to take a picture of us, and Kevin just like, I got to go. He just walks away as we're trying to take a picture. And I'm like, Kevin, no, Kevin, no. And he just goes, and he totally fanboys all over him, and then you regretted it.
I did. I had to apologize the next day.
I'm sorry, man. So yeah,
But he still talked to us.
He still talked to us. We got a nice long interview with him. It was cool to meet him in person, and we've got a lot to talk about in the future with him.
We do. So rather than just going on and on about Rock and Pod,
which was fun, but we've got a lot to talk about.
We're going to talk about.
We'll spread that out.
So no Ouija board this week. We are just going to have a guest come in, and how appropriate, Mr. Co-host of the Decibel Geek, Mr. Founder and CEO of Rock and Pod Expo.
The brains behind the expo.
The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Chris Czynszak is joining us. He's joining us today. Chris, are you there?
I'm here, and your timing absolutely sucks.
Did you take a mouthful of dinner right there? We were talking about food. I'm like, this is torture for somebody that hasn't eaten dinner yet.
No, I'm more so talking about the fact that my brain is still mashed potatoes right now. It was a long last, well, let's just say 9 months putting this damn thing together, and we got through it, and it was great. But
how long does it take normally for you to kind of recover from this? Do you feel like it's a 2-week recovery, 3 weeks?
It's always at least a week. It's that, sometimes up to 2. This one definitely took a lot out of me, but the mental side of just knowing that it's over, that's a bit of a relief.
It's just the recovery phase now.
Yeah, and it's also trying to get your brain to calm down. I'm still having issues where I'll wake up in the middle of the night and my brain will still be moving 1,000,000 miles an hour, and I'm like, Stop it. Everyone that had to check into their room checked in. You've settled up with everybody. All the events are over. It's like, quit thinking. That's the hardest part.
I've put on festivals, but nothing like that. Nothing even close to that, because it's multiple days. You got people flying in. I never had to deal with that, and I know how stressful a 1 day, like a 4-hour, 5-hour long festival. That was hats off to you for running that thing as smoothly as it seemed to go. I know it wasn't that way behind the scenes always, but from where we stood, it was amazing.
Oh, thanks, man. There's always hiccups with every event. Not everyone's going to be 100% happy, but I think overall, really great record attendance. Most people we've ever had. Couldn't believe how packed all the concerts were, and great new venue. I hope you guys enjoyed that venue. That's by far the biggest space we've ever been in.
Yeah, it was by far the best sounding venue too. I mean, Which
shocked me actually.
Yeah, it was a big room, so I thought it was going to be very noisy. I thought there was going to be, sound bouncing off the ceiling and whatnot, but it wasn't like that at all. We could actually have a conversation while there's something going on the main stage, and that's never really been the case. I mean, the year before that, you had moved us into another room, the podcasters, so that we wouldn't have that, all of that sound kind of bleeding over when we did our interviews, but this was really, really cool. I had no bleed whatsoever.
That's great. Yeah, I heard that from a few shows, and that was kind of the big X factor going into it. I was like, well, we've never done it in this type of a room, so we'll see how the sound works out. But also credit to Andy Connors, who does our production manager. He sets up where the PA speakers are going to face. So he helped with the layout of the design of that room to try to strategically place the stages and the podcasters in the right places where they would have the best audio quality. And I think he did an awesome job.
Agreed.
So Chris, since we've never had you on the program before, I don't know that you you probably know this, but obviously I've been a listener of Decibel Geek for close to the entire time that you've been doing it. I came in pretty early on, and I was just getting into podcasts, and I heard you on an episode. It was like a round table that you did on the podcast, and that's how I listened to everybody that was talking on that round table. I was just listening to Kiss podcasts at the time. That's the only thing I knew that podcasts were for. And I didn't
What
know
else
they
would
had
you talk about
I didn't know
besides
there were
that?
other subjects. And I heard you, and you just sounded interesting about what you talked about. It was a little bit different, and so I started listening to you guys, and then we had a chance to meet fairly early on. You came to Atlanta and met with Joe Polo. That was the first time I met Joe Polo from Podcast Rock City, and we've become friends. And, it's just this whole community thing that I've done over the years with you guys and been on your program a few times. And honestly, between yourself, Pod of Thunder, and Podcast Rock City, you guys are the reason that this podcast even exists.
So I get to share in the blame. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess I owe you some money or something. I don't know. We get paid so much.
Oh, I know that, but we got to figure out how we can
Well,
divide the royalties.
You kept trying to get me to grab your nuts at the expo, but I held off on that.
Did you ever?
Still recovering from
Did you ever
that.
put your hands around a sack of those nuts?
I did not. I purposely did not.
A lot of people love my leprecons.
We did Devil Town one year, but the sack of nuts.
I think those are coming back.
Yeah, they were pretty successful, I think.
I always look forward to a trip down to Atlanta, so there's still time.
There's still time. Well, we got plenty of places to stay and things to do.
So you guys have had me on Decibel Geek a few times, you and Aaron, and I always appreciated it. And I've been on Friday Night Live with you guys a few times. I consider you a dear friend and a sort of a mentor in this whole space of podcasting. And it's just been really fun to watch your show just get bigger and bigger, and then all of the events and things that you do, like Rockin' Pod around it, just get bigger and bigger. And I don't know, there's a little bit of pride, I guess, because I've been listening for so long, and I don't know, it's really fun to see it just go bigger and bigger.
Thanks, man. I was actually talking to Eric Martin at the show on Sunday. That's me doing my best Eddie Trunk dropping a name, but yeah, he was asking me about it, and I had come off stage because Aaron and I got dragged up to say something, and I was like, oh geez. So I just kind of went off the top of my head, but like I was telling him, I get terrified standing in front of people. I could never do stand-up comedy. That just scares me to death. Although I used to play in bands, and if I had a guitar in my hand, I was fine. But standing up and just holding a mic was terrifying. And I was like, this is weird. I'm an introvert by nature, so I host a podcast for 12 years. And then I also have social anxiety, so I put on a convention that drives myself crazy. But so that also means that I'm just a masochist, I guess. But I appreciate the kind word.
And you warned me, and I know we bugged the hell out of you. The reason that Chris is here, obviously, because people know they've already seen what the show is all about. But the reason Chris is here is not just to talk Rockin' Pod, although we could probably talk about this for a full episode. But I know we bugged the shit out of you, and I know that you told me you were going to be a little grumpy today. But we just have something so cool that you brought to us, and we just really wanted to have this recording done and get it out to the people.
Yeah. So like for full disclosure, like I came with this idea to Kevin like months ago, and I was like, this will be a fun thing to do, and also was a good distraction from Rockin' Pod at the time because you're still in the planning stages. And then I get lost in planning, and then Kevin comes to me basically like a week ago. Is like, hey, let's do that episode now. Way to be self-aware, Kev.
Oh, well, you don't have a lot going on, right?
We had to wait till you're at your weakest point before we could throw this out there.
I mean, the fact that I followed you around Rockin' Pod while you were walking around making sure people were fine and going, hey, we're doing that episode, right? I'm sure you enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Hey, can we do that episode, man? Hey.
I couldn't decide whether or not to follow you around or Monty. I was just kind of going between the two.
You're a good friend, Kev, but you're also a nag.
Well, my mother will be glad to hear that I've learned from the best.
Oh, all right.
That's why his wife locks him in the basement, locks him in the Kiss vault.
But no, this is a subject that's near and dear to my heart, a band that's near and dear to my heart. So this should be fun.
All right. Well, why don't you give us the synopsis from the emails and our discussions, and just so you know, Robert has no clue what we're doing as usual.
As usual. Ding.
All right.
So this should be fun.
Well, one thing that we've dealt with in the past is, playing copyrighted music and stuff. And, we got booted off Spotify before we joined Pantheon, and Universal put an end to that. And so we've been real cautious and stuff about playing stuff. And I wanted to do this as a Decibel Geek episode, but then at the same time, I'm like, well, you're asking me to do your show, so why don't I just put all the risk on you? So,
fine.
I really don't care.
Get us
now that
kicked
I'm
off
on this show. So if you get booted, it's not my problem. But we're gonna do do an obscure Thin Lizzy episode, and I think I'm going to bring some stuff to the table that you guys probably never heard before.
And that is perfect because I'm a huge Thin Lizzy fan. Robert, where are you with Thin Lizzy?
Oh, I love the Southern rock genre.
What the hell did you just say?
Yeah, why don't you tell that story?
Chris is wanting to strangle me through the microphone. Yeah, so for many years, when I say many years, growing up, I lumped Thin Lizzy into some Southern rock bands that I loved growing up. Molly Hatchet, The Boys Are Back in Town sounded like the perfect Southern rock song to me before I was educated and realized, I think you told me, like, yeah, they're from not the United States and not even the South. You know, they're from overseas.
You thought they were from Florida, where you were from.
Yeah, I thought everybody, Molly Hatchet, Skinner, you know, that's Southern rock. I thought everybody grew up in Florida like I did. So it was one of those moments of, oh yeah, that was stupid. And once I learned who they were, then it became my, St. Patrick's Day tradition of every radio station playing Whiskey in a Jarro, and then they played Metallica's version of it. So they came lumped in that. So I think, we're a couple of weeks out from St. Patrick's Day. I think I should celebrate it all month, for an entire month, basically. My half Irish heritage that I have.
Well, I mean, there are some great Southern rock bands fronted by Black Irish guys. It's an easy mistake.
So many.
They weren't exactly on MTV a lot. Let's just say I never saw videos of them. So Kevin was the one that would dive deep. I would listen to the hits. So that's where I come from. But yeah, I admit it. I'm embarrassed by saying that. But at the same time, yeah, that's the truth. It's a God honest truth. I totally thought they were Southern rock.
Now you, Chris, you've actually grown being more of a fan over the years because I've heard you say it, right?
Yeah, I was not a fan at all growing up. I didn't really know much about them. I mean, I was like the typical American Boys Are Back in Town was kind of most of what I knew by them. And to be honest with you, growing up, I thought that song sucked. I hated it. It was just one of those things where your taste just your taste kind of develop over the years. And it was just like I hated the Ramones when I was a kid. I didn't get them. I didn't understand the point of them, but I was into, Dokken and stuff like that. So, you're very narrow minded when you're young. And then as you get, especially if you do a show like we do, you kind of get cultured on a lot of stuff and then you learn to appreciate things. And then we started Decibel Geek, and then I had several friends that had come on the show, or we'd have guests that would come on the show and they'd be wearing Thin Lizzy t-shirts, or I'd start hearing them come up more in conversations on podcasts. And I'm like, I really should give them a day in court and really go through the stuff and listen. And it was one of those things, just like with the Ramones, once I started listening to it and really paying attention to what was going on, just fell in love immediately. And no, they're up there in like my top 2-3 bands of all. But I mean, this just started like a decade ago that I got into them.
Well, 20 years before we had a podcast, before Kevin and I had a podcast, he would make mix CDs for me. We were in a band together and we'd travel and stuff, and he would make these CDs. And we talked about Thin Lizzy, and he made me a Thin Lizzy CD. And I wish I still had it. But it was just like he knew what I would like, and he put some really good ones on there. And that's where I really solidified my love of Thin Lizzy, not just with the guitarmonies, but just really interesting styles of songs, a lot of variety. And so that I gained a lot of respect for him then. And I think I may have made the comment to him, and he was like, let me show you what they really are. And so that's where I kind of got introduced to them, was 20 years ago.
And for me, it was not until the first time I heard of Thin Lizzy was the time that I saw on MTV. Do you remember the Guns N' Roses at the Ritz? I believe it was that concert. Well, about midway through, Axl rips his shirt off, but prior to that, he's wearing a Thin Lizzy shirt is a black shirt with a neon green Thin Lizzy logo on it. And I thought the logo was really cool. They have a great logo, and I noticed things like that. And
me too.
And so I just thought it was cool, but that was the first time I heard of them. I never heard their music until I think it was the week that I graduated high school. Do you remember the compilation that came out called Dedication?
Oh, yeah.
And they actually released the song Dedication, which was not a Thin Lizzy song. That was a Grand Slam song, which was Lynott's other band after Lizzy.
Yeah, and more so a Grand Slam demo. Like, it wasn't even really complete.
That's right. They had to finish it, I believe, to put it on that compilation. But that compilation was Thin Lizzy to me for about, 6 or 7 years before I started getting their albums, because you couldn't find them. All you had was that compilation. Or if you go to a truck stop and you find, Jailbreak or something like that. But that was it for me until, call it late 90s, where I was able to get CDs. And then when I started getting to albums again, then of course I got all the Thin Lizzy albums. So I remember being in an airport with a Walkman going on a business trip, a Walkman cassette Walkman. That's how old I am. And I found in one of those little shops, where you get your cheap, it's the snacks and everything. They had they used to have cassettes.
Stand.
Yeah, the magazine stand. They used to have cassettes on the counter, and those were like cheapy cassettes. And I found Nightlife. It was the first time I'd ever seen Nightlife on cassette, and I bought it, and I listened to it on this business trip, and I was just jamming out. I love that album to this day. It's one of my favorites, and it's really mellow, but it's so good.
That's one of my top 3 of their records. And like a lot, I'm glad you love that, because a lot of the diehards of theirs don't like that record. They think it's a little too loungy. Even Scott Gorham isn't a fan of that record, but
that's probably why I like it. I love that it's so different than anything else they did.
Yeah, there's such a chilled out vibe on most of it, and like it's just one of those albums you listen to on like a rainy day or something. It just got a good mood to it. I've always loved that one.
I'm a visual guy, so that cover that's on Nightlife just goes perfectly with the music that's contained within. It's it's just a perfect package for me. But enough about that. I want to get into what you've discovered and what you've brought to us. I'm so geeking out on what we're about to hear.
All right, so the reason I'm here, other than to talk rock and pod, is that, as you can assume, Decibel Geek's been trying to get an interview with someone from the Lizzy camp for a while. But in 2020, there was this box set that was released called Rock Legends. I own it. I was one of the people that bought it. I got the edition with the Scott Gorham autographed postcard. So let me brag on that. It's got like 74 unreleased songs on it, and there's a guy that helped put it together with Scott named Nick Sharp. He's like a Thin Lizzy expert, and I was able to connect with him over the past year, and we started talking and about having him come on the show. But between schedules, rock and pod, other commitments and stuff like that, we just haven't been able to do it. But yeah, I have been in touch with him about that. So I asked if there were other songs out there that didn't make it onto the box set, and surprisingly, he told me yes. And what's really interesting is that he was willing to share a few of these songs with me, but he told me to be careful about playing or posting them since it's released and owned by Universal, who we talked about earlier. So they're kind of notorious for shutting down stuff, like I mentioned. So
if
when
people are hearing this podcast, we haven't been shut down yet.
That's right.
Not yet, but wait till this episode comes out. But when I mentioned it to you, you said that you guys really don't care about the risk, and you're willing to do it to get these songs
screw the
out
man.
there. It's right in your wheelhouse. You guys have been bugging me to do this for a while, so let's talk about it, and we'll do some obscure Thin Lizzy stuff on what's probably going to be your last show.
Good, I need a break.
Yeah, that's fine. We don't care. So just so you know, Universal has taken us off Spotify once or twice. Maybe?
Yeah, a couple times, maybe. Well, you know what? We'll change the name slightly and come right back.
That's right. That's how we do.
Zen Obscuria.
We don't care. We're not Decibel Geek. We're not huge.
Yeah, they're
like
not.
this.
Yeah, they got a lot invested.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we're going to kind of cover different eras of the band, and it's another great thing about Thin Lizzy. I compare to Kiss and Alice Cooper. It's why they're all in my top 5 bands, is there's so much variety, and like they weren't afraid to take chances and try new things. So there's something for every mood with this band. And obviously there's a Thin Lizzy sound that kind of underlies everything, but you can hear different things they try out. A lot of people think everything ended in 1983 with the with Thunder and Lightning, and they broke up after the Reading Festival. But this is an interesting track that some people may have heard. But if you've heard the demos from Phil's next band called Grand Slam, it was also released as his very last solo single in '85 and reached like 76 on the UK chart. But it was never on an official album. But this is Lizzy's version of a song called 19.
All right, let's check it out.
You wanna do me, 'cause I'm bad. I'm 19. Don't mess with my machine.
Wow. So do we know what the timeline for recording, like how far before his death that was recorded?
It was recorded like just after or just before the Reading Festival, summer of '83. So,
okay.
2-3 years before he passed.
Okay. But I mean, you get easily recognizable sound and that attitude. That swagger he had. That I love that, and I can't say I exactly had that when I was 19. I was getting my real estate license in Florida at 19 years old, so I did not. I was cocky, but not that kind of swagger.
Well, let's talk about how old Phil actually was, and he's singing about a 19-year-old. So
yeah.
How old would Phil have been in 1983?
34.
He's singing about a 19-year-old.
Well, but he's singing about the attitude you have. I can see him looking down on a 19-year-old going, yeah, you think you know what you're doing, and look at me, I'm cool, I'm 19. No, wait till you're older.
This was his spiked bracelet, his metal phase,
like
right?
a Billy Idol attitude, not the sound, but just the attitude.
So that would have been John Sykes, obviously.
Yeah, and I could. It sounds like it fits right in on Thunder and Lightning to me.
Totally. All right, well, I don't have much to say on that one because like you said, it sounds very Thunder and Lightning. It's what I would expect. And just so everybody knows, like I said, Chris shared this with me, so I've already geeked out over this stuff. Robert, you're hearing it for the first time. But
yeah. Looking forward to listening to it again, though.
Yeah, so the next one is a track that comes from the Johnny the Fox sessions in 1976 and was written after, of course, the Jailbreak album. According to Sharp, this was originally intended for the Johnny the Fox, but John Alcock, who was the producer, thought it sounded too similar to what he had done on Jailbreak. His vision of Johnny the Fox was supposed to be very different than the previous record. The label thought it sounded like a hit similar to like Boys Are Back in Town. I think you'll hear that when you listen. So Alcock actually hid the masters after they'd heard it, told them and the band that the engineering assistant mistakenly erased it before they did the dupes.
Oh my God.
So the assistant engineer was fired and his name wasn't even on the record. But thanks to Sharp for sending this my way. It's a track called Gotta Fill Me In.
Well, before I play it, do you think that's why they didn't put it on the box set? I mean, I guess, is Alcock still alive? Is this guy still with us?
I'm not totally sure on that one.
Huh. I guess, because the label would still maybe Universal owns all the masters.
Technically, but if it was erased, maybe, I don't know, they threw everything in the trash and went, we're done with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
obviously
not
he
sure.
didn't.
They never had time to fill out the paperwork if it was never fully recorded. I don't know how that worked.
Well, let's take a listen and see if we think it should have been on an album.
I mean, so they had a formula, but that's not a cut. They knew how to write a good hit song. Yeah, as you mentioned, the Boys Are Back in Town, but the way they do the vocals, the guitar sound, they could change the song up, but yet it has the similar familiar elements to it, which makes me love the song. So the first time I've heard it, I love that song. That's just the bouncy vibe it's got to it.
Thin Lizzy is swagger
and guitarmonies.
A little guitarmonies and a little bit, like the slightest bit of soul and funk.
Yeah, a little bounce. When I said bouncy, yeah, kind of a soulish, funkish nature to
How
them.
would you describe it, Chris?
That's pretty accurate. I mean, it's like the soundtrack to a bar fight. But it's like, and the weird thing about Phil is he could write some of the most depressing, dark stuff, but then there'd be this bouncy, upbeat music going behind it.
That's Ireland, right there.
Like every Irish folk song.
You just named every Irish folk song right there.
Yeah, that's true. So I guess it does come natural to that. For a Southern rock band, that's pretty awesome.
I don't know, country music, Southern rock, some depressing lyrics in that, but same thing. You always have a big lead at the end, and it goes out with a bang.
I mean, if they would have released that, now remind me, I don't remember there being any hit singles following up from Johnny the Fox, right?
No, and Johnny the Fox is probably my least favorite of the albums, to be honest with you. I like it. I like all of them. But
it followed their mainstream success that they had.
Yeah.
And, Alcock should have rethought that whole scenario there because, I don't know, to me, that sounded like it could have been a hit. I know it sounds a little reminiscent of what they'd done before, but still.
Yeah, definitely a lot more radio-friendly hit potential on that one than most of that record, in my opinion.
Johnny the Fox and Jimmy the Weed.
Actually,
so weird.
I really don't like that song. Yeah, and like a lot of people love it, but I just don't like that one. So next up is a demo that features only Snowy White on the guitar. And I love the Snowy White era of the band.
I do too. Those two albums are great.
And now that you said his name, that's actually why Kevin started making some CDs for me, because we saw Roger Waters and I asked who the guitar player was. And he's like, oh, that's Snowy White from Thin Lizzy. And of course, it didn't ring a bell at the time. So that's why he made the CDs, was educating the hell out of me. So I knew who Snowy White was.
And, yeah, and I'll tie in something else with this pick in a minute. But they did a lot of material during this time. So we're talking like 1981. And they were in multiple studios. The whole process was kind of chaotic because Phil was working on a solo album at the same time. And they were working at Odyssey Studio and Morgan Studios. And Phil Lynott and the producer Kit Wolven had a disagreement about sharing studio time between Thin Lizzy's thing and Phil's thing. And he became frustrated. He said, I wanted to try to make sure that the album the solo album sounded one way and the Lizzy stuff sounded another. If you're flipping between things, it's quite confusing. He also said he was not keen on the Renegade material. He said it didn't do it for me. I stuck with the solo stuff as it was more interesting. And quick side tangent, if you haven't heard the song, it's a Phil Lynott solo song, but on the video it's all of the guys in Thin Lizzy. If you've never heard the song Dear Miss Lonely Hearts, I highly encourage you to check it out because I think it's one of the best things he ever wrote.
What is your overall opinion on the Phil solo stuff?
It's very hit and miss.
Yeah, that's how I am too. I have a hard time listening to it.
It's not quite as good, but that one song. But I think that one song is more of a Thin Lizzy song. You know, I don't know that it's really. I know it's on his solo record, but I think Dear Miss Lonely Hearts is like one of the best things in the catalog. Also, just shows what a dog the guy was. He's like writing into Dear Abby, saying, I want to bang my girlfriend's sister. How do I do it? I mean, that's what a premise for a song.
It's a good porno.
Well, this is the guy that was hiding his drug addiction by shooting himself up between his toes.
True.
At his mom's house.
At his mom's house, yeah.
Yeah, he was a complex character.
Ma, I'll be down in a minute.
The meatloaf.
Meatloaf again.
But yeah, so this song I'm going to play, this is one of them that they were persuaded to drop, even though Kit Wolven would be out of the picture and Chris Angarides would end up taking over production. It's a demo, and Snowy didn't focus on the leads since Scott wasn't part of the recording. This is a track called Don't Show Your Face.
Don't show your face around my lady. I mean to say it could be dangerous. Don't show your face around my lady. If you show your face, I'll push it out of place. around my woman. She's sick and tired of you right now. Don't show your face, cause I'll remind you. If you show your face, I'll push it out of place. Hey man, you're out of place. You don't shoot the crow. Hey, I'll kick you in a space. Don't show your face around my lady. Don't show your face around her door. Don't show your face, cause I'll remind you. If you show your face, I'll push it out of place. Don't show your face around my lady. Don't show your face around the door. Don't show your face, cause I'll remind you. Don't show your face. She don't want you no more. Don't show your face. 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 Don't show your face.
So that one had a little bit more of a demo feel to it. Like it wasn't quite finished production-wise, but that's just my opinion.
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
the other songs had that. They could have been released as is.
I think that one probably had reason to be dropped because it's basically the toughest street in town, just rewritten.
Yeah.
It's almost exactly the same song.
That never stopped Kiss.
Oh. Wait, who did you say?
Kiss.
There's your Kiss connection with a K.
Robbed. Totally robbed from that. Sorry.
All right. So my next one, this comes from the fighting era from around 1974.
Wait, where are you on that album? Because a lot of people, same thing.
That was the album that made me fall in love with the band. Actually.
Okay.
Yeah. I for a long time when I first got into them, that was like the only one I would spin just continuously. But no, yeah, I love that record. I
do too.
Great.
Yeah, I think it's that the whole Robertson era. I mean, it's just good stuff.
There's just enough like rough edge to it where it's not too slick between the two guitar players. That's just what made it such a great mix. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Gary too.
I do too.
So,
and I love Snowy White too.
We celebrate them all.
But it was so this one from the fighting era, it's a single that was from the early days of that time with Gorham and Robertson. It was recorded at the same time as Nightlife was recorded in 74, but it was intended to be like a non-album single. So Ron Nevison, of course, produced it since he produced Nightlife.
Wait a minute. Ron Nevison. There is your second Kiss connection.
Damn, son.
Because what did he produce? Crazy Nights.
Crazy Nights, the best Kiss album.
Oh, wow. There's going to be some fist fights.
But no, there's no real reason given why this was shelved. Maybe it's a little too upbeat and poppy or too similar to the first three records versus where they were headed. But I dig this song. It's called Lady Gabrielle.
Let's check it out.
I don't mean to be so insolent, but you know it's because I love you. The foundation of my malevolence. You know I'd never hurt you, baby. Sometimes I might get edgy, but a man can sometimes be that way. Nobody's perfect, baby, and I'll always love you anyway. Oh, Gabrielle, the sun is shining in your eyes. Oh, Gabrielle, I didn't mean to make you cry. Oh, my sweet baby doll, I'll put you above everything.
Okay, now for some reason on this one, the lower production value actually works. The very stripped down version. It was a pretty bouncy song, not kind of a shuffle beat to it, but I mean, this is why I'm not a record producer. It sounds good. Release it. That would be my decision.
You're dogging the Ron Nevison production of this?
Yes, I am.
This is 1974.
Is he still alive?
Is he? Okay.
Oh, I better not talk bad about him then.
But he's the guy behind Heart. He's the guy behind Kiss Crazy Nights. What else did Nevison do?
That wasn't a dig. I was saying I liked it kind of lower production, but it wasn't overproduced. So that was a compliment, sir. Okay. Thank you very much.
It's an interesting track because it's almost like a bridge track from the first 3 records, which are a little more folky, to Nightlife, which was also a bit of a bridge album, but it kind of sounds like something you would have heard on the first 3 records, but with electric guitars thrown in on top. So it's an interesting. It's almost like a timestamp of where they were at.
Well, let's talk about the first 3 albums because those are definitely different out of the entire collection. Obviously, you have one guitarist, being Eric Bell, and they were very much in the kind of between folk and psychedelic, and still figuring out what they wanted to sound like. Where are you with that stuff?
It had to grow on me. The first couple of years I was a fan. I would try. I would just skim through them, and I said, that's not what I'm wanting from them. But as time's gone on, and the more you mature as a fan of a band, the more you'll give other stuff a shot. And if I'm in the right mood, I'll listen to those records and really enjoy them. I mean, the songwriting is super strong on pretty much all of them. And Eric Bell, I think, is very underrated as a guitar player in the band's history. But yeah, I do have to be in the right mood for them. But when I listen to them, I always like them.
Yeah, it's weird because we were all introduced to Lizzy with that guitarmony twin guitar attack. That is their sound. That's what helped shape all the bands that we love, like Priest and Maiden and all that stuff. But hearing the previous 3 albums where it's just one guy and it's not that sound that you're used to, it's hard for me to. It's almost like a different band. Like I listen to it, but I don't equate it with Thin Lizzy, if that makes sense.
No, I get that. But yeah, I don't know. To me, it's still part of it. Vagabonds actually grew on me a lot more in the last couple of years than it used to. I used to really not like that record, but yeah, that one's actually grown on me more than the first 2. But I still like them all, though. If I put one album on with Lizzy, they're just like the Ramones. If you put a record on, you listen to one song, you wind up listening to the whole record for some reason. You just stay on it.
I totally agree with that. I'm the same way. All right, so we got something from Black Rose.
Yeah, I got a couple more to share with you guys. I mean, how cool is it to get to hear this stuff?
I love being the first.
I still don't understand how this was left off. Like, why would you put out a box set? But this is done all the time. Why would you put out a box set and have unreleased versions of songs that you already know, like different, slightly different changes or modifications, instead of putting out complete songs that you don't know? Like, to me, this is more intriguing than hearing a different version of Boys Are Back in Town.
Well, I think some of that in my conversations with the guy, and he wound up listening to Decibel Geek, and I think that's why he decided to share some of this with me, because he liked some of the stuff we had said about Thin Lizzy. But he kind of intimated that there's consideration being given to doing a volume 2 of the Rock Legends box.
That's why they can sell twice as many, because then all the fans come and buy a second round.
So they really are going to kick us off the air.
He said there's way more in the vault than what people have heard so far.
Oh, well, I like to hear that.
Because I know with REO Speedwagon, all you get is a couple of demo songs of Keep On Loving You. That wasn't that exciting. I did not buy it. For the record, I did not buy that box set. That was straight from Spotify.
Keep On Loving You, isolated guitar track.
Yeah, it's nothing like when you hear that, the big, huge 15 vocal tracks on Keep On Loving You. Then you hear the demo version. You're like, how did you get signed?
Well, not to bring them up again, but if you hear the Love Gun deluxe version that came out a couple of years ago, and they had the demos that Paul had done, I mean, they're just so bad. It's like, I don't know that I really wanted to hear that ever.
Yeah, there's certain bands, keep that away. I want to keep them on that pedestal. Like, once again, Pink Floyd, that would be the equivalent for me. If I hear David Gilmour just kind of dicking around and not doing comfortably, now I'm like half-assing it. No, I want to hear him nail it every time.
Well, I mean, Metallica went all the way, and they put one of those albums out, sounded like nothing but a demo the entire time.
Yeah. The garage.
Remember Lars didn't have a snare drum, and he was hitting a trash can.
Yeah, the trash can album.
I mean, I'm talking about Master of Puppets, of course.
Oh God, just starting fights everywhere, man.
Just kidding on that. All right. So the Black Rose era, or kind of post Black Rose, 1980. So, Phil, as we talked about earlier, was doing his solo stuff. He was getting really into the new wave stuff that you can hear on those albums, listening to CBGB bands, kind of like Blondie, Talking Heads, Suicide, and stuff like the Cars. And you could tell he wanted to bring that to Thin Lizzy sound. Midge Ure from Ultravox was in the band for a while, and he replaced Gary Moore on the Black Rose tour after Gary just basically threw his guitar down and walked off the stage. This was recorded with Midge before he was moved to keyboards, and then Snowy White came in after. The label didn't like the direction of this song, and they shelved it, or this album, I should say. Midge wouldn't appear on the next album, Chinatown. He would go on to play with new wave bands that same year, like Visage and Ultravox. But interesting song from the post Black Rose session of an album that really never came out, called Kiss and Tell.
We were born on the 5th with secrets to tell, whispers of a past lived outside ourselves, a maze that was chalked up as chasing a fantasy. As if lost in hell, we ran towards the dawn and was stopped by an endless sea. So we ran to the west and waited for days. A glimpse of the sun and its dying rays was all that I saw before darkness enveloped me. There's nobody.
Man, I hate to say it, but I can hear the heroin in that song. Knowing what ended up happening, it sucks. When you hear a song that was influenced by drugs, it's not a big deal because that's kind of rock and roll. But knowing how it all ended up, that's sad. But it had that vibe. It had that hazy vibe to it, a little darker tone. It had the guitarmonies, which changes. It's always happy, but you interject that over kind of a sad undertones of that song.
Yeah, it's and also when you look at the era it came out, it almost kind of reminds me of the Alice Cooper Blackout era stuff, like Flush the Fashion that was going on.
Yeah.
Because Alice was borrowing from a lot of those same bands. There was punk had also taken over, disco was dying, so it was kind of an apathetic time in the music world. So it was like a new wave was bouncy and happy, but also dealing with hardcore subjects on some of those songs.
Yeah.
Can I go ahead and pencil you in now for a Halloween episode with us for Alice Cooper Blackout?
Hell yeah.
Oh, I'd totally do that.
Let's go ahead and
you should be recovered by then, and you're not working on next year's quite as much. So it's kind of that sweet
spot. Just make sure
I'm
busy with another event, Kevin, and then bug the shit out of me the week before to do it.
Yeah, that's what I do, man. You know you love it.
Hey, man. Hey, man. Hey, can you? Hey, Chris. Hey, Chris.
Poor Chris. He's just like, what a dick.
I don't know if you had a little brother or anything like that, Chris, because that's kind of what it was like. You're like, hey, man. Hey, Chris, can I go with
like
you?
the big dog Spike with the little dog.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Spike.
Hey, Spike. Hey, we go to there.
I'll be plugging that in right here.
Huh, Spike? You want it? Huh? Nah. You wouldn't like that, would you, Spike? Hey, Spike, how about we chase cars, huh? Does that sound like fun? Nah. Yeah, that wouldn't be no fun. How about beating up a cat? Would you like that, Spike? Huh? Would you like that, huh, Spike?
Cat? You know where is it a cat?
Yeah, sure, Spike, sure. I know where's it a cat.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so guys, I got one more, and this is the weirdest nugget one to find here, and I asked Nick about, what, did you have anything else? He sent me this and he goes, this is weird because it's a different version of the twin guitar attack. I'm not going to tell you much more than that. And he sent me the song, and then I started doing research, and I guess other people know this, but I didn't realize this, and I feel like a bad Thin Lizzy fan now, but apparently there was before Brian Robertson came into the band and after Eric Bell left the band, there was hard stuff guitarist John Cann and
which we've
Berlin
actually,
born.
I'm just going to interrupt you because we've actually played hard stuff on the program before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There you go.
And a guy from Berlin named Andy Gee, who played with Peter Bardens and Ellis, who I'm not familiar with. Apparently, these two guys were the twin guitar attack in the band for a while, and Phil and John Cann didn't get along, and Gee was under contract to another record label, which this was all news to me. So then, of course, Phil would go on and, Scott and Brian would join the band, and then Nightlife, and then History's Made. So there was a song recorded with these two guys, but Phil hated John Cann so much that he didn't want to give him a nickel or have his name attributed to Thin Lizzy. But here's the song. It's called Oh Mind and Matter from 1974.
There's definitely more stuff in life that I'd rather
Okay, you can't see me, but I'm sitting here shaking my head because I love that song, and I'm sure other people would too, why that wasn't released. But it's also unique that it has the backup vocals on it. The women backup vocals, I don't hear that a lot. Once again, I'm not a huge, like, devout Thin Lizzy fan. I like them, but I don't pretend to memorize every single song like Pink Floyd. But, you know, do they have other songs where there's some kind of other singers on there besides Phil?
To me, this
really.
This is like them, you know, what year was it again?
74 or 73?
73 or 4. So it's them coming out of that kind of hippie, folky phase with the first 3 albums and going into, you can tell, I mean, they're starting to focus on the riff, you know, the almighty riffs.
It sounds like they're having fun. I mean, it sounds like they're just enjoying playing.
But I mean, what else was going on in the UK during that time? Well, you had T-Rex, you had Slade, you have all that stuff, you know, the glam scene. So that's what I kind of heard was them kind of doing that.
Yeah, I could hear, Slade, Sweet, Mott the Hoople type vibe. It's weird though. Yeah, it is weird hearing the female backing singers because they didn't really do that much or ever really. I don't know. And then it's odd because Nightlife winds up being a little bit more loungy, and it's almost like this was almost like a quantum leap forward, and then they just pulled back on it. Interesting song though.
See, they weren't a true Southern rock band then without
No. Next thing you're going to tell me Molly Hatchet's from Norway or something.
The Scandinavian.
Were they at least from Southern Ireland?
I don't know. They do sound like a Viking band.
That's a whole different genre. But yeah, that
I don't think Artemis Pyle's in this band.
No, unfortunately. He could have added a little flavor to it.
Well, Chris, I just want to say again, you know, thank you for sharing this with us and for shutting down our program, apparently. And
we're going to, go out on a high note. This is our last episode under this name. Come find us under InObscuria, right? With a U.
We'll just change it slightly, but
InObscuria is the new podcast.
Seriously, thank you for all that you do. I'll say it for all the podcasters out there. Thank you for all that you do for the podcasting community in general.
Yes.
I mean, it's huge, man. I started off just going to Rock and Pod just to meet people and hang out with like-minded people. And I didn't even have a podcast, and I was a fan of yours and others, and I wasn't hearing exactly what I wanted to hear, so I thought, I just do my own. But it's the community that I wouldn't have done that had I not known about the community and the camaraderie that surrounds the whole music podcasting network.
And it was a supportive camaraderie. I like the fact you said that because I've been involved in any number of different groups and passions and organizations, from car clubs and this and that, and went there a couple of years ago. And then this one, especially because we knew more people this time, it really was a camaraderie. Everybody was there to help each other out. We were rooting for each other. It wasn't trying to one up each other or anything like that. So that was the fun part. There might have been some of that. We didn't see it.
Yeah. I protect you guys from that stuff.
Good.
But no, it's honestly,
don't talk to those guys.
The community and the family we've built over the years it just gets bigger every year, and like new friends get made, old friends get seen, and it's my pleasure to put it on just because I see how much fun everybody has at it. One of these days I'll get to just show up and enjoy it like the rest of you, but it's nice, and I appreciate all the kind words. But I don't have another song to play, but I did have one last note that I forgot to mention that I received.
What's up?
April Fools.
What the hell did you just say?